Yeah, uh, we can do introductions after, but why don't you just go ahead, Ashley, and share the announcement?
Okay, so as Mr. Muick has already told you about, I am introducing you guys to a new opportunity for your students or other people in your internet, but I wanted to reach out to you guys about spreading awareness about our symposium. The High School Climate Change Symposium has been hosted by the Battle Creek Area Math Science Center, which is where I'm from as a senior, and we've been doing it for 5 years. It is a free online conference to inspire youth and young adults to spread awareness and understanding of climate change. It is an online symposium that's going to be on April 6th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Eastern Standard Time on Zoom. And some of our topics that we are going to be presenting on, well, that we have presenters from Zoom presenting on, includes immunology, clothing design, psychology, justice, and more. Some of our presenters that we're going to be bringing in is Robin Wall Kimmerer and many others. Some the attendees can register by going onto the symposium website, which I will be attaching onto the chat if you don't mind. And I also have a poster that you guys can use the QR code. Uh, so I kindly request your assistance in promoting the High School Climate Change Symposium within your networks and students to enhance our reach and impact of the event. And that is it for me. All right.
That's awesome, Ashley. This is a caveat, not just for you, but anybody who makes an announcement today. I always say this. We have folks who, join the clean calls, and we have folks who watch the recordings. That's why I record it. But we have an even wider reach of folks who, can or can't always make it or watch the recordings through our email list. So I'm pretty sure Tim's on our email list, so he could probably help you send this. And I'm going to put the link or the email address to send an announcement to. And I would recommend, definitely glad you brought this up here. This is so cool. Thanks for putting the link in the chat. I'm going to check it out. And I just wanted to recommend that you also share it through the email list, because that can help you gain even more reach. So thanks for joining us. This is so cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. That's awesome. Um, and so we are set to have David Blockstein join us from Solve Climate by 2030 for presentation, but I'm not seeing him yet. So why don't we start with introductions, just because I feel like it's the new year still, getting to know folks, and we can share any other announcements. So I can go first. I am Gina Fiorelli-Duranlo. I am the Clean Program Coordinator. So it's very good to have all of you here. Trying to get as many folks to join for these weekly calls as possible. And why don't we share maybe like our favorite, what about our favorite winter activity? I'll say, just because it's winter right now. And I would probably say baking right now is my favorite winter activity. So I'll pass it over to Katie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Boyd. I'm the Clean Program Manager and work with Gina. We're based at Series Education and Outreach. And let's see, my favorite activity. I don't know. There's actually, wintertime can be fun. Baking's a good one, cooking, staying in. But actually, we just went snowshoeing on Saturday, and my 2-year-old daughter took my poles and was hiking along for the first little bit of it, and that was really fun. So I also like to get outside when I can in the winter, when you can, bundle up and be out there. So skiing and some snow sports like that, I'll say, is, I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's certainly a good one I've been enjoying lately. Let's see, Ingrid, you're next on my window here. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. Ingrid Zabel. So I'm with the Paleontological Research Institution in Ithaca, New York. I'm the Climate Change Education Manager, and I work a lot at our Natural History Museum, the Museum of the Earth, and our Nature Center, the Cayuga Nature Center. And a favorite winter activity, I guess one that I really like is after it snowed, just going outside and walking around a little bit and just sort of hearing the quiet, how the sounds are just dampened and just sort of feeling the quiet of winter. And I'll pass it to Carrie.
Thanks, Ingrid. My name is Carrie Herndon. I'm the curriculum developer for the National Center for Science Education. My favorite winter activity is watching from inside what's happening outside, or even better, listening to people talk about their favorite winter activities where I don't have to experience them at all.
Is that part of why you live in Costa Rica now?
Yes.
That's very smart. Yes. Maybe Marie next?
Sure, I can go next. Hey, I'm Marie Fargo, she, her pronouns. I am the Instructional Resources Coordinator at an organization called Climate Generation based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And my favorite winter activity, I really love cross-country skiing, which I unfortunately haven't been able to do yet this year. We just haven't gotten enough snow and it's been warming up. So this year I joined a curling league and I've started trying curling, which has been really fun. And I can pass to Scott.
Thank you. Yeah, this is Scott Lewis here, Florida Climate Educators Network, down in Florida, of course. And my favorite winter activity in South Florida, that's the big caveat, is actually going outside to Everglades National Park, because this is a cool time of year to actually go out there and enjoy it. So I do want to pass along some information. We actually have a presentation tonight by Zoom on FCAN by an editor, Nathan Crabb, who's will tell us a little bit about hints for writing climate op-ed pieces. So I would invite all of you to join in that. And I'm going to put a link there in case anybody wants to join at 7 p.m. Eastern time, especially our students who might need some tips on writing op-ed pieces on climate change. That would be great if you could join us. And I don't know, is anybody left on the list who, I don't know if I see anybody else.
Well, I feel like Ashley
back,
jumped
yeah.
in with her announcement. Ashley, do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself, though?
Sure. So I am a senior at, I have two schools. So I go to Harper Creek High School and Battle Creek and the Battle Creek Area Math and Science Center. My favorite winter activity, not as interesting as you guys, but I love to have hot cocoa with my family and just spend a little time watching a movie or something. But yeah, I'm excited to see what this meeting is going to be about.
Nice. That's awesome. That's a very good winter activity.
I will say, despite saying snow sports, I probably spend more of my winter time doing things like that.
Yes. Yeah, Ingrid, go ahead.
Just had a question for Ashley. So I just took a quick look at the website you shared about the high school symposium. And is the idea to get students from high schools all around the country to participate, or is it more like local to your area?
It is, it does include like our local, but our goal is to spread it out within the country too. So we're contacting different high schools within different states of the United States. So yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other announcements from folks?
Sorry, yes, I have an announcement. I'm so sorry. My mouse was not cooperating. I want to just mention to everyone that one of our teacher ambassadors is hosting a professional development in Chicago called The Climate of Hope. It is actually, Frank is going to be one of the keynote speakers there. I will put in all the details in the chat, including a link. As of right now, over 300 teachers are registered, and it has a variety of sponsors from across the nation, as well as a variety of speakers, including some international scientists. So if you know anyone in the area who is interested in attending, please pass the information along. There's going to be a second day of professional development run by NCSE that includes a $100 stipend for the teachers. So if you know any teachers in the area who are interested in learning more about climate change curriculum or evolution curriculum, please let them know that not only will they get a great professional development run by one of our staff members, Blake, but that they'll also get $100 for attending. And again, I'll put the link in the chat.
Thanks, Carrie. Clean actually has a PD opportunity coming up as well. We have a webinar that will be on February 7th. That is our Teaching About Climate and Energy with Clean webinar to talk about the climate and energy literacy principles and how that relates to many of our resources on our website. So Karen Kirk will be hosting that, and that's going to be on Wednesday, February 7th. I just put the link in the chat. Hi, David.
Hello.
Hi there. So we were just doing introductions and announcements, and actually had a few more folks join and file in as we were sharing announcements. So if anyone that is not on camera, or Jim too, if anyone wants to jump in with their introduction and any announcements that they might have, we can do that before David gets into this presentation.
Hi, thanks. Since I'm late, I'll be really quick and not make an announcement. Jim Callahan, Mobile Climate Science Labs, a teacher in teaching in K-12 schools, as well as out of school programs. Thanks.
And I'm Yolande Miller-Granvaux, based in Washington, D.C. I'm with FHI 360, and I head the network called Global Responses to Education and the Environment Network, which only works internationally on how to teach climate change and how to integrate climate change in education systems and services globally. Thank you.
So good seeing you again.
Nice to see you. Hey, and February 6th, we're going to have our first webinar on the impact of heat increases on education with solutions from India. If you're interested, let me know. I can put in the chat.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you.
Emily, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I could go really quick. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Emily Snowd-Brenneman. I'm with the UCAR Center for Science Education located in Boulder, Colorado. I'm a program specialist and exhibit manager for that team. So the building behind me, if I lean the right way, Mesa Lab there, we have some exhibits about weather and climate and other science or science related topics. And so I manage those exhibits. And yes, and I'm excited for the Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Week, because we try to do something in the past couple of years. So thanks.
That's awesome. Look at that. Partnership building already. Thanks, Emily. I think D is Deb. No pressure to unmute, Deb, if you want to introduce yourself. Yeah, there she is.
Sorry, I just wanted to, so I'm not scary. I've been here. I'm gonna put in the chat that Rick Hansen, he's a neuroscientist who does lots of lectures, is looking for a part-time research assistant on climate change, and he's looking for somebody with minimum master's or doctorate in climate change. I would love to do it because it's $40 an hour, but I would be even happier if a postdoc was doing it. So I'll put the link in the chat. Thank you.
Thanks. Good seeing you. All right. Are there any other announcements or things to share from folks? I think we had a good wide sweep. David, are you feeling ready, or do you need a couple more minutes?
Yeah, no, I'm ready. Yeah, apologize for showing up late, and there may be another version of me that's trying to log on here. So if you can just cancel that one since I'm already on here.
Okay, yeah, no worries. And the timing worked out because we had quite a few folks join today for introduction, so no worries. So yeah, David is joining us today for a presentation. He'll be sharing some slides about the Worldwide Climate Education Week. And we'll do about 30-minute presentation and then hopefully have some time for questions and discussion at the end. So David, you should be able to click on the share screen button in green at the bottom of the bar there.
Yeah, I just have to get to the right window here.
There we go.
Oops, that's not the one I want to share though.
I never realized how many windows I have open until I try to share my screen, and then there's like 6 options to choose from.
Yes, I keep way too many tabs open, and that is definitely a time when it comes back to bite me.
For sure.
Let me just about here. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay, well, while I'm doing the technology, let me just say that I'm really pleased for the opportunity to be here and talk with the group. And I've been connected and in and out of the Clean Network for I don't know, a decade or more, I think. And so I haven't actually made any of the weekly meetings, so it's good to finally have that opportunity. So what I want to do today is to do an introduction, but even more than an introduction, an invitation to each of you to participate in Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Week, which we, with all of our power at Bard College, have declared to be the first week of April 2024. And those of you who are good with math will notice that we've made it an 8-day week because the first Monday is the first day after Easter, and a lot of schools are not open that day. And so I'm speaking on behalf of our team, myself and Dr. Eben Goodstein, Vice President and Director of the Graduate Programs of Sustainability at Bard College. So, I don't have to tell anybody here kind of what's at stake in climate change education, but this is just such a powerful graphic from the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, from one of their contests, that this is where we are in the world right now, trying to keep the global temperature down to 1.5 degrees to stay alive, keep our heads above the water. And in many places around the world, of course, we're already, up to our mid-calf and further in climate change and climate impacts. So the challenge that we've taken on, and that I know that you all are involved in this as well, is helping youth in particular to turn from climate despair to climate repair. The question, is it too late to stop climate change? We all know that it's a juggernaut, that it's happening. People are increasingly aware of that. And what we say is that everything that we do, positive or negative, makes a difference. And a difference of a tenth of a degree is going to either cost thousands of lives or save thousands of lives. So I'm going to just begin with a short video that presents, once we get through the ridiculous ad stuff here. So 3 minutes here.
Where are you emotionally on climate change? 1 is I never think about. 10 is paralyzing anxiety. Can't sleep at night. Don't want to have kids because their world will be through this topic.
The Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Week is about helping people move from climate despair and disengagement to a mindset of climate repair. This is the education that changes the future. So Climate Week is for everyone. It's for students, faculty, and staff from all subjects, like artists and psychologists, scientists and business majors, students of music, literature, economics, international affairs, healthcare and engineering, you name it.
Join tens of thousands of people around the world in growing climate education. The first week of April, 2024. You're not alone. People on your campus are really worried about climate change. If you step up, others will join you. At your school, you can make climate an event. This means solutions and justice events on your campus. Art, theater, panel discussions, films, faith meetings, music, games, fairs, and displays. Check out our website for examples from all over the world. Engage your whole school.
On top of your events, you can also help to make climate a class. This means encouraging climate-concerned teachers from all subjects, art, history, chemistry, psychology, all subjects, to spend at least half an hour talking about how climate change solutions and justice are relevant to their field of study, how artists, historians, chemists, and mathematicians are all thinking about climate change. We have step-by-step guides on our website to help you make this happen.
Last summer was the hottest in history. Massive fires, heat waves, floods everywhere. We have to stop it from getting hotter every year. You can help organize Climate and Justice Education Week at your school. The biggest threat to our future? Thinking that someone else will lead, that someone else will stop the climate crisis. Now, not next month, not next year. We all need to step up. Join us.
So I should maybe just stop there and take questions, but I'm going to go on a little bit and, ask you to think for a moment about what is the biggest threat to our future. I won't ask you to answer, but just to think about that for a moment. From our perception, the biggest threat to our future is thinking that someone else will lead. And that's what we're challenging each of you and the communities that you work with, is to continue to provide that leadership. So our theory of change in this project is that there are tens of thousands of educators around the world who are concerned, even alarmed about climate change, but they need some help in terms of connecting what they do in their own education, in their own classrooms, in their own institutions and communities. They need some help in connecting that with the kind of resources that the Clean Resource Database has, and with the kind of communities that we have to help them. We have recognized that there are hundreds of thousands of students around the world who are also concerned about climate change, probably many of them really quite concerned and anxious. I mean, we know that from the data. And that by working with the teachers and other educators, that we can engage them in working on climate in their lives ahead, whether they do it as professionals or in their communities or in their homes and in their families, that we need all of us to be engaged. So this is what we've been doing over the past 4 years. This is our 5th year in the project, expanding each year. The dots on the map show in 2022 and 23, actually I think this is just 2022, locations where there were partner events around the world. We didn't organize them, we encouraged them, and they organize them. And so in 2022 and again in 2023, there were 300, 350 teach-ins, educational events in more than 60 countries and directly reaching more than 50,000 people each of those years. We've decided that this year we need to step it up from a one-day teach-in to Climate Education Week, give people more flexibility in terms of what they're doing. As was mentioned in the video, there's sort of two flavors of this. One is an event-based flavor where you could organize an event in your community or on your campus. The time, of course, is the date is chosen to begin Earth Month. And then second is to make climate a class. And we are encouraging all teachers to spend at least 30 minutes talking about the connection between their class and climate during the first week of April. So our goal, our hyper ambitious goal, is every teacher, every subject, every level of formal and informal education, every school, college, university, other institution, every community, every state, every nation to participate. So, think about, imagine a school day where, let's say, the student comes in and in their English class, they write a poem about their feelings about climate change. And then they go to their math class and there's a problem set to calculate their personal greenhouse gas emissions. And then they go to their social studies class and they learn about climate justice. And they go to their art class and they create art to communicate about climate change, and on and on. And that would send such a powerful message to each of the students that grown-ups, their teachers, their institutions actually care about what's important to them. So just to go sort of through in a little more detail on this, the event base, the most important thing is that anybody who's organizing an event should do it based on what works for them and their community, their learners, not something that we tell them what to do. We have lots of ideas, of course, and we have over 600 examples from the last couple of years of what UCAR and others have done. They're interactive, generally interdisciplinary. We encourage them to integrate arts and sciences, and of course, to be action oriented. But we're not telling anybody what to do. We're just providing an opportunity. So among the things that have been done, typical academic panels and discussions, inviting in community speakers, films and discussions. We're working with some film producers. There's a series that you may have seen on PBS called Wild Hope, and that's being made available, at least in the US, for classroom use with the curriculum guide. Performances, we had a contest last year where we selected 3 short plays, 10 minutes or less, that could be done to teach people about climate justice and to raise those conversations, exhibitions and art installations, various games. We just put out a call for climate games, and I think we have about 20 that have been suggested us now. But be creative. There's all sorts of ways to do it, and you all know, there are many ways to do this. In classroom, we're suggesting, again, as I said in the examples, just 15 minutes on how your field is thinking about climate change or the connections with that. And then, because we're talking about engaging people in their lifetime work, to show that, regardless of what your skill set, what your major is, that you can be involved professionally in this great work of building climate justice and climate repair. So you could bring in an alumnus or another climate professional to talk about what they do. Again, this is, no requirements, just ideas. But we really are trying to get all climate concerned faculty to make climate a class. And of course, students are the most effective ambassadors, so we're encouraging students to ask their teachers. Among the partners that we're working with on this project already, and we encourage each of you to be our partners, Earth Day organization, Learning for a Sustainable Future in Canada, Subject to Climate. They've put together a Earth Month calendar where for each day of Earth Month, there is a particular theme. You can see they're not all about climate, but they're all generally environmental ones. And then, oh, I missed the, let me go back here. And then for each of those days, they've created from different resource collections, they've created shown some lesson plans, for different grade levels on the topic of the day. So again, I think we'll be with our partners really launching this calendar in a couple of weeks, and expect that it'll be something that will get a lot of uptake. The resources that we provide for participants, we have an interactive map, as I showed there, where you can register your event or that you're participating and make climate a class. We will provide, once you have your event and fill out a little evaluation form, we'll provide certificates, downloadable certificates for the organizers, for the teachers, for their students. Our website is in various languages. We have a communication kit with branding materials, templates for posters, logos, things like that. We'll be doing webinars tomorrow at 9 and noon to present that. We do our own webinars each Wednesday, and in fact, a week from Wednesday, Gina is going to be presenting on behalf of CLEAN so that the people that we're working with can learn about the CLEAN resources. As I mentioned, scripts for plays. We'll provide introductory videos, evaluation forms. We can share your logo if you wish, and many other things. So yeah, so here's the webinar series that I mentioned at 9 and noon on Eastern time, and I'll put the link for registration into the chat when I'm done. So tomorrow we're talking about our communication tools. Then the following Wednesday will be a presentation on the CLEAN resources, and then topics of climate and health, Earth Month calendar, climate censorship, and the culture wars. And Kara, if you're still on, we have sent an email to one of your colleagues, and I can't remember who it was, to invite the National Center for Science Education to participate in that. So again, maybe we can communicate in the chat or send me an email, but we're still waiting for one more speaker on that. And then the end of February 28th, we'll be talking about Wild Hope and films, and then we'll be having other things probably more related to just kind of planning what you're doing and sharing your ideas in March. So how can you all be involved? First of all, you can ask your community to participate in Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Week. Those of you who are with organizations, maybe you would want to organize a virtual event for participants in your organizations. We invite you and encourage you to ask every educator you work with to make climate a class, and probably equally important, because they're the ones who are already teaching about climate, ask their colleagues to make climate a class. or invite them. So for example, if they're already teaching about climate solutions, do something special, like co-teach with a colleague from another department. So for example, if you're teaching about renewable energy, maybe you could invite a social scientist or philosopher to teach with you that week about the justice aspects of renewable energy. We have a LinkedIn page. We encourage you to follow that. And because I know we've worked with some of you and your organizations, but we haven't worked with all of you. So tell us, what can we do to support your work? We all know that our community of climate educators is nowhere near as large as it should be. Share your curricular resources and we can put them on our website as well. How can we connect with your work and resources? And we'll talk about that in a moment in the discussion. We encourage you, if you are going to do something, register your activities, then and contact me. That's my email, solveclimate2030@gmail. And we just really want to thank you for your great work and to see what we can be doing together. I'm going to show one more quick video. This is one that was developed by students around the world that we worked with used to do a social media for climate action internship. So let me share this.
It can take air out of my little brother's lungs.
What if it submerges my Bangladeshi land of love, magic, stories, and songs?
I'm afraid my hands can do nothing to stop the downpour.
I'm afraid it will leave us alone in a world of concrete and plastic.
Groom Gaia into a vacant void.
It will take the green and leave us in the dark.
I'm afraid it will bring out the worst in people.
Uprooting our families and communities.
Leaving our children to an irreversible nightmare.
Taking the beauty of each season from us.
Causing untold suffering that could have been prevented.
I am afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid. What are we being taught?
What are they teaching us?
Economics, literature, math, engineering, history, music.
What meaning do they hold if our climate swallows us whole?
I can be courageous.
I can be courageous.
I can use my voice and passion, keep fighting even on the days it feels hopeless.
I can fight for my people.
I can hold on to the beauty we still have.
I can save our land against this man-made havoc.
I can be a voice for the sky, the soil, and the sea.
I can make a good future for our next generation.
I can stand up, even when it feels easier to sit down.
I can love my brothers and sisters and protect their lives, because we have the same mother, the great Mother Earth.
I can be louder than polluters that try to silence life.
I can do my part and lift others around me to do better.
I can ask my teacher to make climate.
I can ask my teacher to make climate a class.
I can ask my teacher to make climate a class.
Make climate a class.
So this is the business that we're all in, trying to bring about worldwide hope. And in my view, and in view of many, that hope is an action verb, and that our work as climate educators and climate justice advocates in bringing people into our communities is how we bring hope. So I thank you for your time today. And even more importantly, I thank you for the important work that we're doing. This is my email first, and Eben's, and we invite each of you to contact us and to join with us. And now I will stop, and we'll be happy to hear your thoughts and ideas and any questions you might have. So thanks for your time today.
Thanks, David. That was great, and some very moving videos that you shared. I think yeah, it seems like some of us are already have been involved with your organization and with this work, but it seems like there are definitely some opportunities that you presented for us to deepen that partnership among our clean members here. So I'd love to hear what folks are thinking. Jim, I know you put in the chat that you feel many of the teachers that you work with are kind of leading on this already, but maybe in a less formal sense. Do you feel maybe that they would be interested in teaching about climate under the banner of Worldwide Climate Justice Week?
Well, sure. Let's see. Thank you, Gina. I think I would tend to try and frame it in the most positive way is, I think we're confident we're among the leaders, but we really hope that we think that there are probably many more leaders that just aren't getting known out there, schools and teachers and things that are teaching about climate in a serious way. And we want to shout out to them and work with them and do that. Perhaps they all don't have the ability to come on clean and get known. So I want to be very humble about that. But maybe it would be the one of speaking as one of the two of the schools that are teaching climate quite in depth and for years. How are we looking at the week being an opportunity or a responsibility of these classes to, it's not something of we're planning one or we're writing letters about one. We've been doing this for years, right? Eben knows me. We worked together for the first Focus the Nation, right? When that started, when he started doing this, our organization was working with it. But I want to be a little bit like fitting into how is the week looking to have a role by the students and the teachers who are already doing this. Where are we at on this? Because I need to go back to my colleagues in the school and say, okay, we've got Climate Week here. We're obviously going to contribute. We're obviously going to take part. But what does it look like for our classes and our students? And an interesting one too is, there's obviously a connection here. Eben is now at Bard, right? Yeah. Bard College is the organization that sponsors or makes possible our high school. Okay, so there's a little bit of a connection there.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So I guess a couple things. More generally, I think that what this week is a branding opportunity for everybody. That, as you say, some of your high schools are doing these things all the time and not necessarily getting the recognition. And so by elevating a little bit and saying, we're part of this worldwide effort, and we will provide logos and other branding materials, it helps you to get maybe some credit within your institution, within your community, and maybe even more credibility within your students. And I think you can maybe think of this kind of like Earth Day, really, that there's an Earth Day theme, but everybody kind of does their own thing and say, this is our contribution to Earth Day. So I guess one is sort of the branding, and then the other is the community aspect. That, for example, we did a couple years ago, Bard Early High School in Baltimore had participated in this and had all of their teachers do something related to climate on the teach-in day at the end of March. And then we then actually I organized a session at a conference and had one of the high school students then come and present what they did. And so that one gave recognition, and then two, I think, helped the student who then actually participated in our social media as well, to get connections. And I think, just in the same way that the Clean Network helps each of us to be working together and talking with each other, it's a chance to expand into another network, and one that has some really strong international connections as well. So I hope that helps, and I'd be happy to talk with you more about it, especially given the Bard connection. Yeah, Yolanda, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, hi. Thank you for this great presentation. So I have a quick question. Do you have, I want to know about the scope of your outreach. How many participants have you had more or less over the years? That's a quick question. Two things. One is, have you connected with the Greening Education Partnership? Because that would give you access to like almost 1,000 networks on education and climate. And that's led by UNESCO. And then my third question is, because you're an academic, or you're connected to an academic institution, and Gina knows about this, we talked about this at GU. Where is the research on the impact of climate change on education systems and services? It is, so we know a little bit in the US, we know a little bit in Europe. Other than that, we know of like 10 studies. And it's each time very localized, there's a lot coming out of Nepal and India, but that's it. So do you see a trend where evidence would help us, strengthen our advocacy, whether it's for, the Climate and Education Week or anything else? So I get one small, one medium, one big question.
Right, great question. So so first of all, in terms of our scope, I think, our limitations are just, who we can reach directly and indirectly. And that's why we're inviting each of you to, with your connections and networks, to help to amplify the community. Over the past couple years, we've emphasized the events more than the classroom stuff. And so there have been like 600 different events in more than 60 countries, collectively, probably 70 countries collectively over the past couple years. There's certainly, some have done it more than once. With UNESCO, I have to say that we need help. That, as I'm sure you can appreciate, just the whole UN.
You mean UNESCO needs help? Because they do.
Or we need help connecting.
Oh, okay.
I won't comment about UNESCO, but just, I know there are all these different UN associated networks and organizations, and we've had little bits and snippets with UN Sustainable Development Support Network and others, and I just feel like we haven't really made the headway. So if you can help us to connect with the right people, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. Easy.
Yeah. And then in terms of the research, that, I was getting grants for climate change education with my previous organization around the same time that the Clean was getting started, and it's really hard to establish that body of scholarship. All we can do with our fairly limited project is we do surveys, post-event surveys. We put things for our partners, and people say that by participating in even a one-time event, that they're more likely to take climate action. But as far as how you actually follow up on that, I don't know. I think, some of the best work is really the work that's coming out of the Yale Climate Center, and their survey work and looking at messaging, but that's not necessarily the same as looking at how a sustained formal education can go.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I hope I've at least somewhat answered those questions. Other reactions or questions that
Any other thoughts? I
yeah, please.
could ask a question actually. I would be curious, David, it feels like you guys have a really impressive reach. I know you're trying to always expand into new networks and communities and really get this in the hands of teachers. But I would be interested to hear how you have made the connections that you have, and there's quite a few red dots on that map. So how have you gotten to this point?
Yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, I should have actually credited and noted one well, our principal funder is the OSIN, which I'm forgetting the Open Society University Network, which BARD is one of the lead institutions on that. So we do have internationally, we do have a little bit of a base, and we have received funding from OSIN, and then we also received last couple of grants, couple of years, but not this year. We received funding from a program of the MacArthur Foundation to be supporting partners in Africa and in South Asia. So we have been able to provide small grants, even $1,000 at a university or $300 for an event at an NGO goes a long way in the developing world. And so I think that's been one of the keys in terms of having people that for example, we work with the Sustainable Development Support Center or Center for Sustainable Development Goals at Universidad de los Andes in Bogota, Colombia. And so they translate everything into Spanish. They organize in Latin America, and we give them grants. And then in terms of the U.S. network, we're mostly over the past few years, our strength is coming from the higher ed community. Eben and I have worked in that community for 3 decades, and we have, we have a lot of contacts. But I guess in general, my secret of organizing, and I've been doing this for 30 plus years, is one, you start with the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal, worldwide teaching, every teacher, et cetera. Then you find the early adopters, and then you just network and build from the early adopters to their networks. And so that's the secret sauce in my perspective.
Mhm. Yeah, that sounds like you've really zeroed in on,
Yes, yeah, don't come in, please, sir.
like you've really zeroed in on your audience. And I know Clean and probably many other people on this call are always trying to figure out how to get the resources that we create into the hands of people that are actually going to be able to use them. So it's good that sounds like you've been successful at that so far, and you're trying to always expand that. So just thought I would figure out what your process is.
Yeah, and I think that I think our main limitations are just sort of who we can reach out to, and I'm sure you guys have all found this as well, is that it's a lot harder these days, whether it's the post-COVID world or whatever, people don't respond to their email. Sometimes they don't even respond to to phone calls. Everybody is super busy. And so I think it's also trying to give them um, things that are fairly bite-sized. And that's why, we're talking about, just spend 30 minutes in one of your classes um, and to, get people into the tent because I think, and again, Yolanda, I think, research will show that if you do incorporate, I mean, there is research in terms of sustainability education that if you include sustainability education into your teaching, and I've been involved with a project of the National Association of Geoscience Teachers and the Science Education Resource Center at Carleton College, where there actually is a lot of data on this, that if you incorporate sustainability into your basic earth science, geoscience, whatever courses, students learn more, they're more engaged, and then there's this positive feedback because teachers will see, oh yeah, this is working. It works as a technique. And so that's, I think the challenge is just get people into the tent, get them to overcome that activation barrier to say, I don't really know where to start. Okay, well, here's an idea of where you can start in terms of time. Here's a set of great resources from Clean. Here's a set of great resources for Learning for a Sustainable Future in Canada. Here's a set of great resources from Subject to Climate. And just, hold their hand a little bit and get them into the tent. And then they will often go from there.
Thanks for that insight. I know we're at the top of the hour. Jim had just asked if the web link in the chat is the right one or the best one to get to your organization, and that's the one that I included. That was the one in the announcement that you sent me, David, actually. So I think that is the right link.
Yeah, I think if you go to, yeah, there's a semi-cumbersome process just using the BART websites, but if you go through the graduate programs of sustainability.bard at edu, that'll get to the front page for the website, and it says 2023 because that's just the remnant from last year.
Website maintenance is a lot sometimes.
Yeah.
Great. Well, it is 2:01 here on the East Coast, so I will wrap it up. But yes, thank you very much for David for being here. And the rest of everyone for listening and participating. This was a good.
And Gina, can I ask you a favor? But if this is not a good time to ask such a favor, drop it. But could we keep the room open for a couple of minutes and ask David to stay? I just like to check in with him a little bit. I didn't want to take more time. Or do you have to close out right now?
I can keep the room open, but I don't know if David has to go for another.
No, I'm available for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll leave it open.
And I promise not to abuse it. If you make me a co-host, I can close out the thing afterwards, right? So
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna stop the recording.